sometime in 2012, Reshma Barshikar says she fell down the rabbit hole and discovered a world outside the fluorescent cubicle. An award-winning author, a features writer for several prestigious publications including Nat Geo Traveler, Harper's Bazaar, Mint and others, Reshma came out with her debut Fade into Red with Penguin Random House, and thereafter launched her own imprint Two Ravens, under which she published a young adult fantasy novel, The Hidden Children. The Hidden Children is one of the very few YA novels to top the bestsellers lists across the various bookstores in the country. As Ashok Banker quite aptly puts it for The Hidden Children, it's got magic. Welcome Reshma to Between the Lines.
Hi!
From an ISB pass out who was into hardcore number crunching investment banking to investing in writing fantasies. Reshma, what brought you to that rabbit hole?
I think it was a number of things. So I started working when I was about 19, 20, right? So I graduated from university and I came on, I was very focused that I wanted to be an investment banker from when I was about 14, 15. So that entire journey was a very long journey. It was a very well thought out, planned, executed. Obviously had its roads less traveled, but for most part it was, one step, one goal. And I think by the time I was about 32, 2011, 2012, I think I was just burnt out. I was burnt out, working non-stop, and I wasn't happy. It wasn't I was unhappy, but I was tired, and I also felt like I'd somewhat reached what I wanted to do, and I'd achieved something, and I was quite lost. And then I was on vacation in Tuscany, in Italy with my then boyfriend, now husband. And I took out a piece of paper and I said, what would happen if there was a girl who was just like me in Tuscany and she was on a deal and she was fed up? And from then on, I just kind of penned a few characters, etc. I went back home and I spoke to my mom about it, and my mom was also quite concerned because I was a bit tired, I was overtired. And she said, why don't you write a chapter to take your mind off everything? And I wrote a chapter, then I wrote another chapter, and I wrote 3 chapters. I sent it to her. She's an avid reader, and she said, there's something here. This is very Sophie Kinsella, Anuja Chauhan. I can read it. I like it, and the voice is fresh. And it's my mom, so I respect her opinion a lot. Because she reads so much. And she says it's good, it must have some merit, not a lot. And my husband is also a very big critic of me, also said, okay, thoda sa merit hai. So I said, okay, fair enough. And then while I spent the next year at work, I also started writing small articles for, little snippets here, there about traveling. And then I sent one of those to Sonia Faliero. She's a very well-known writer. And actually, she was the one who sent me back an email saying, Reshma, you can write. And the tone of surprise, and she said, usually people send me stuff, but they can't write. You can write. And that gave me immense confidence. So she introduced me to my first editor at India Today Travel Plus, for whom I wrote a number of travel articles. So I think I must have written for them every month for about a year. And then I built a profile while I was at work, basically. And I think after that, one day I just decided that I had to quit. It took me a long time to quit because the firm refused to let me go. And then the first thing I did after quitting was I said I'm going to write this novel. I took all my savings and went to Italy.
How lovely. And that's how Fade into Red came about.
And that's how Fade into Red was born. So while other people might have saved all that money, all the gratuity I got, I thought that let's spend it on a solo trip all over. And so Fade into Red was born. And after Fade into Red happened, I got agent fairly quickly, and it got published fairly, as in for publishing terms, it all happened quite fast.
And then the second book, which is The Hidden Children, was a fantasy, and it's again targeted towards the young, whereas Fade in Red was a very different genre.
So Fade into Red was never my genre of reading. My favorite genre is Stephen King. It's J.R. Tolkien. It's Philip Pullman. It is even stuff like Lemony Snicket, Ursula K. Le Guin, John Connolly, supernatural, horror, R.L. Stein. So I was never this happened quite because I had an idea, it fit into a genre, and I liked the story, but once that story was over, I was fairly certain about what I wanted to write about.
You finally settled down with bringing the whole Hogwarts to Mumbai.
Yes. For all practice. So growing up, I thought to myself, growing up, Lipika, even you must have felt the same way, right? Why am I not represented? And this whole conversation of representation was happening at the time. And people think it's just a conversation, but it's real. Representation matters so much to me. I was taking creative writing workshops and I met these teenagers, and when I asked them to write a story, they used to come up with Annabelle and barbecues and proms. I'm like, we don't have barbecues. I mean, we do, but
we don't have proms.
We don't have proms, true, so which means that you're not able to. You don't have, and the overwhelming response I got was that they didn't think Indian kids were cool. They didn't think Indian teenagers.
And there wasn't an Indian concept of fantasy, so to say.
No, and we have our mythology, but they're about older people. They're either about children or they're about older people, and they're always very preachy, right? There's a message in everything. I didn't want to write a book of, there can be a theme, underlying theme, but I wanted to say, Indian kids, Indian teenagers can go on adventures. Indian teenagers can fall in love. They can have first crushes, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to get their heart broken. For Indian girls, everything is not about boys. And honestly, the ages of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 are about so many different emotions. It's the most formative period of our life. And yet nobody was appealing, and as much, I love J.K. Rowling. I love all these authors I've grown up with. But I thought it was time that we had something of our own that was not built on messaging. It was just built on story and fantasy. And if there was a message along the way, but for most part, I wanted to entertain. And I wanted to entertain in a different manner, not from a romantic point of view, but from friendship and adventure. And so then that's where this happened, and it took a while to write.
So you mentioned about these creative writing workshops that you took. I believe they're quite popular in Bombay. Did that at any point serve as a lot of fodder for the book? I believe a lot of teenagers come and take those workshops. So was that also a ground for research?
I think ground for research, in my opinion, was a little bit. I think it was a ground for inspiration rather than research. Because teenagers don't tend to talk much. But at the heart, the emotions, the journey of puberty, the journey of formation and becoming is the same around the world, around for teenagers.
And probably that's the reason why it struck a great chord with the youngsters, and Reshma, even after publishing it under your own brand, the book is done tremendously well. Tell us something about this journey of becoming a publisher from a writer.
Oh Lord, really? That's a long we should do an entire thing about talking to authors about becoming. I didn't expect you to bring this one up. I wanted a big print run. My husband wanted me to have a big print run. How are you meant to be a best-selling national bestseller if you're not going to sell at least 5,000 copies? And if your first book has to have that big print run, but if you're a debut author, nobody's going to give you that print run. Nobody. You know that, right? So, I remember you and I had this conversation as well, and you actually told me, Chapo, print the books. So my husband said to me, he says, why? We've done this book. You've done it once with the publishers. You are a published author. If you're worried about validation, don't be. Because I said, I've been validated. Book is done well. But I don't need that level of validation at the moment. So yeah, took the plunge.
How do you think the journey has been so far?
I'm not going to sit and tell you the journey is easy, because it's not easy. But the journey is very rewarding. because you have complete control over the entire process. But you have to be all in, which means that you print the 5,000, 10,000 copies. You have to make sure they get to every bookshop in the country. You have to make sure that you have the right PR, which is you, that you have the right person who's screaming about it from the top of their voice, because that is necessary. So you did that for me. You have to have the right distribution partner. I had someone excellent, Authors Channel. Please check them out. They were my distribution partner. Prakash Books was in my corner, making sure the book went out there. So yeah, it was in every bookstores. It was top 10 in Amazon. It was top 10 across all airport bookstores for almost 3 to 4 months. I don't know. I don't remember now. You know better. So would I have done it the first time round with Fade into Red? I'm not sure. Honest answer is I'm not sure.
But you are planning to continue with this for your next one?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I've had a couple of offers asking for, but I'm not sure I'd go through with them, because I don't think, however, that young adults, this segment, because would benefit. I would benefit currently from a publisher.
Reshma, so far we know the writer Reshma Barshikar. Let's come to the other side of you, the other roles that you play in your day-to-day life, and the foremost is that of being a mom.
Yes.
What is tougher, being a mom to a young one tough, or is a writer being tough?
I think Lipika, you as a working mom can attest to being a working mom is tough. But of course, being a writer and a teacher, I have the flexibility of hours that a lot of other working moms don't have. But I think being a mom has made me more empathetic, although it has complemented me really well on being a writer. I wrote Hidden Children, by the way, during my after I had Sia. And Sia has been a big part of me writing it. So I think it's two hats. Obviously you don't have the luxury of large portions of time, but you now have the luxury of being able to tap into parts of yourself that did not exist before your child was born.
Okay, since we all are cooking and cleaning these days at home, have you burned something while thinking of a plot?
Yes, lots of things.
Okay.
I burnt cake. I burnt dal. I had the pressure cook. Too much. I am. It's been burnt many things.
So it's a perfect recipe of being a good writer. Yeah.
Yes.
Burning a few things.
Burning a few things, because also we're dreamers, right? So I don't know, in Tamil paal pongirudhu. My milk would boil over constantly. But that is not just lockdown. That is me all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
My milk boils over because I'm in some dreamland. I'm very dreamy that way. So I'll be like, I can just stand in a corner and just like look at something, and absolutely.
I can see a guitar next to you, and I know for sure that Reshma plays a guitar and sings very well. But today I'll ask her to play something and sing for us.
If I could tell the world just one thing, it would be we're all okay. Not to worry, 'cause worry is wasteful and useless in times like these. Won't be made useless, I won't be idle with despair. I'd gather myself around my faith, for light is the darkness we most fear. These hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own. And they're not yours, they are my own. I am never broken.
Wow, that was so awesome. I mean, I think, we've never had such a mesmerizing end to an episode. Thank you so much, Reshma, for making time for this.
Thank you so much.
So that was Reshma Barshikar, a mum, a singer, and a writer who's going to be out with her next book very soon. Until the next time we meet again for the next episode of Between the Lines, here's me, Lipika, signing off. Stay smiling, stay safe, and keep reading. Bye bye.